The Uneducated Economist here. So, yesterday we went to the old school theater here, the Columbia Theater, and we went and saw Ghostbusters, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
the original.
the original Ghostbusters. What'd you think? Here, why don't you get in the screens because they can't see you. Here, yeah, there you go. Why don't you sit over here?
We got one person.
There, we got one person. How's it going, guys? All right. So yeah, Ghostbusters, one of my favorite movies of all times, and I remember when that movie came out, I was like Freddy's age, and everybody just loved it. It was like the most popular thing ever, especially when it came to Halloween time. It was probably one of the most popular movies out there, I would say.
Like 15 people
Yeah.
already.
So, what was your favorite part of that movie last night?
Um, I really like the first jump scare.
The really what?
The first jump scare.
The first jump scare?
Yeah, with the ghost.
Oh,
Eh.
you're funny.
Yeah, the first jump scare.
Okay. So, anyway, Freddie wanted to come out and talk a little bit about money and some of the things that he has learned about money. And one of the things that we had definitely learned was one of the first videos that he had done with me was learning about what? Good debt versus bad debt. So, what is debt?
Debt, good debt, and bad debt.
Well, let's talk about what a debt is first. Like, what is like to have a loan and stuff like that? What does that mean?
Well, if you're in debt, that means you owe money and it's hard to buy stuff that you need
Yeah.
if you're in debt.
But what happens when you take out a debt? What's going on? You borrow money and then what?
If you borrow money, then you have to pay the person you borrowed money from. You have to pay him back interest.
Yeah, and interest is the money beyond what? The money that you borrowed, right?
Yeah.
So when you're paying interest, that's the money beyond the money that you've borrowed. That's what's a burden on you, right? So that what makes it hard. So when it comes to good debt and bad debt, how is there a bad debt?
A bad debt is when you buy something and that thing doesn't help you get money in the future.
Okay. So what's a good debt then?
Good debt is like, let's say you buy a car. If you buy a car, you can make deliveries and you can become DoorDash, Uber,
Some other kind of business where you're making deliveries or using your car.
Amazon. Yeah.
And then, so if you're using your car for business, then what happens? You take the money from that and you can pay your debt.
Yeah.
So that would be a good debt.
Yes.
What if you didn't use your car for delivery or anything else? You just used it to drive around instead.
Bad debt.
That's a bad debt. What if you really liked your car? Does it matter?
No, not really.
No? Oh, that's a bummer. So that's good debt versus bad debt. So what's a speculation versus an investment? Can you tell us that?
It's an investment. You invest into like a company and then you get more money back later. All right, $10.
Hey, from Matthew. Thank you very much, Matthew. Really appreciate that. That's Lumberjack Landlord. He's our buddy.
When you work hard and do a good job, you get paid.
Great job, Freddy. Yeah. So, what were we talking about? Speculation versus an investment.
Yes.
So, what's an investment? Investment is something that pays you back.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what's a speculation then?
A speculation is the opposite.
The opposite?
Yes.
No, you knew this one. We talked about it earlier. You remember speculation is when you buy something in with the anticipation or the idea that you're going to sell it in the future at a higher price.
Yeah.
So is gold a speculation? Or is gold an investment? Can you remember?
Speculation.
It's a speculation. Why is it a speculation?
It's an investment.
Uh-huh. No. You had it right the first time.
Okay.
Gold is a speculation, right? Because you plan on selling it in the future for a higher price. What about a house?
A house.
Is a house an investment or a speculation?
It's an it's an investment if you let someone rent it out, but otherwise it's a speculation.
If you plan on selling it.
Yes.
What if you just plan on living in it? Then it can kind of be both, right?
Yeah.
Right. But your idea the first time, if you buy a house and you rent it out, that would be what?
That would be an investment.
That's right. But if you bought the house without doing anything to it and you're going to sell it into the future, that would be what?
Speculation.
Good job. Let's read some of the comments. What are these guys saying?
How old am I? I am 8 years old.
Yeah. You get paid when you successfully close a contract. Hard work is often a component. Yeah. Go ahead, read what the next comment is.
Well done. Freddy is running places on our education system. Does not teach our kids properly.
Yeah. So especially when it comes to the education of finance and understanding money, like they'll teach you how to have a checking account, they'll teach you how to pay bills, they'll teach you how to file taxes and stuff like that. But rarely will you ever learn about the central banking systems. Rarely will you learn about what it is to be in debt or to have, speculation as an asset or an investment as an asset. These are some of the things that, Freddy is starting to learn about. We got a little skeleton here. Let's see, what else we got going on here? Good teacher. Yeah, he knows his stuff. Well, he certainly does. I mean, he listens to me plenty of times throughout the day talk about this stuff. So, you pay some crummy people interest, Freddy. It should be illegal. How much interest is charged, Freddy?
Oh.
Oops, went down. All right,
$1.
Alexander, thank you very much for the $1. That was very nice of you. Freddy for president. Huh? What do you think, kiddo? You want to be president? Happy Halloween, Freddy. Yeah. So one of the articles that I left down in the description for you guys, I left it down there because there's a nice quote in there from Jerome Powell talking about how right now the economy is just beginning to feel the effects of what it is to have a restrictive economy. And I think he said might in there. I think he actually used the word might, like as a maybe.
Yeah, I'm gonna give my
And
channel.
so, what are you doing?
I'm gonna give my channel a shout out.
Oh yeah, so Freddy has his own channel that he's been posting some videos he wants to give you guys a shout out for. But that's what I've been saying the whole time, is that right now we are just feeling the effects of a 2% Fed funds interest rate on the economy, and it's hitting neutral. And I just kind of wanted to share that article with you guys because of that quote in there, and because, I thought the article was fairly good too.
I'm on load.
Let's see. If only Freddy could explain how to file a tax return. Well, we'll figure that out. Maybe if Freddy starts a business up, we'll have to figure out how to do the taxes on a business, right? If you had a business, what would it be?
A business?
Yeah, if you were to like right now, say with the resources that you have, like the things that we have available to us right now, what would you do to try and earn some money, like today?
To earn some money?
Yeah.
I have a big gem collection. I would sell gems.
You would sell some of your rock collection?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I have a bunch of them.
Yeah. What else could you do? Is there anything that you could get from the neighborhood? Like we have a neighbor who has like a farm. What could you do there?
Pick the flowers.
Yeah, we have a neighbor who grows flowers. We were talking about this earlier. We could see if the neighbor would either loan us the flowers, like on a consignment thing, so we could go and sell them off and pay them back, or maybe find somebody to borrow money from to buy flowers and then go and sell them.
Okay, I have my YouTube channel.
We were talking about that earlier. I don't know why you didn't bring it up.
I got my channel.
All right, go ahead and bring your channel up. What's it called?
Random Things.
Random Things. Kind of a fun little live stream today, right, guys? Does Freddy wish no government? I don't know. I don't know if Freddy's really into politics. We don't talk much politics at home. All right. Talk about the yield curve, 3 month to the 10 year. Yeah, I like following the yield curve. I mean, as far as the yield curve goes, it's going to be really difficult to try and use it at least in the same fashion that we once did. It's kind of funny how like FASB 56 has really done a number for like changing the way that we have to look at these numbers. I mean, I hate to like discredit it all, but really there's just kind of just small things that I just like don't really look at anymore. The crossing over the 2 year, 10 year, like that was everybody kind of focused in on that happening, but really to me it was the 30 year, 5 year when that crossed over, which happened before the 2 year, 10 year, which was a bigger indicator. So really, when it comes to the yield curve and the inversion of the yield curve, or a flattening yield curve, or even a you know controlling of the yield curve kind of thing, all that stuff is not really something that I take into consideration as far as like how I'm going to change the way I feel that I'm going to like look at the economy or anything like that. Once the inversion began to happen and continued and got extreme, I didn't really look to see like how much or how far or where at. It's just knowing that it was inverted, and that that was the bigger indicator, was just the fact that it had happened, not by how much or where at. As far as like the next indicator on the yield curve that I'll be looking at would be again that 30 year, 5 year. And once that starts to spread, that spread starts to widen, then that's going to be like the indication to get back into the markets as far as an investment goes. At least if I understand Alan Greenspan right when he said that that's the sign of corporate management's willingness to invest. So if they're willing to invest, I guess so would I be. So I would be too. Anyway, what's the question there? Do you see anything in there you want to say? Talk about?
Scroll up a little bit.
Yeah, go ahead. We've already been up there. Go ahead.
Oh, what'd I do?
You gotta close it back down again. There you go.
Okay.
So.
What's my Halloween costume?
Yeah, what are you dressing up for Halloween? Why don't you tell them that?
I have Grim Reaper and I have real chains.
And some real chains, yeah. We got some chains from the lumberyard to hang around his neck, and he's got this Grim Reaper outfit and neat plastic, like it's, what is it?
Glowing eyes Grim Reaper with.
Yeah, but what's your tool thing that you have?
A bloody pickaxe.
Oh, that's it, a bloody pickaxe. I forgot. Thank you, Linda. I really appreciate that. Freddy would have done a better job than Jay Powell. Yeah. Thanks, guys. All right. Hopefully, Freddy never had. I'm not sure where that is. What are your thoughts on the Fed rate monitor tool? Looks like big moves in the last week. I'm not sure. I'd have to look at that and think about that one for a minute. Let's
Go
see.
down.
Here we go. Don't make Freddy grow up naive. Let him be aware that you can also get paid even when you don't do a good job. For example, bankers and politicians. Well, it's kind of funny that you bring that up. This is something that was interesting that happened over the course of the summer. Freddy, what do you do with your money?
Save it.
You save it, right? So he comes to me over the summer and he says, "Hey, Dad, can I have a $50 bill?" And I'm like, "No." And he was just like, "But I have $50." So he had managed to save. I didn't even know he had done it, but he had managed to save up $50. And like you've heard the say, once you break a 20, or even nowadays a 50 or 100, once you break a 20, it's gone, right? Well, Freddy, I didn't tell him this or anything, but Freddy took it upon himself to collect enough bills to add to $50, and then came to me to get a $50 bill, because once you lock it up in a $50 bill and you don't break it, then you always have that 50. And so by his own mindset, of being a saver, he knew to take his bills and concentrate it into a $50 bill so that he would be less likely to spend it.
I
And
think.
I was so proud of him at that moment. I was like, yeah, absolutely, I'll go get you a 50.
Oh, I think this
What'd you say?
guy just joined. I just gave my channel shout out.
Oh yeah, he has his own channel called Random Things, and
Let me get it up again.
yeah, and we'll put a link to it back in the description of this video here at once we post this one, once we upload it. All right. Wow, good move, Freddy. Yeah, he was really like, it's kind of funny. He's figured out some ways to get money. Like, I mean, some kind of, not necessarily like he does work, he does do, work for money, but he's figured out some other ways, like, whether it's trading or selling or coming up with some other, like, smaller ways to kind of come up with a few dollars here and there. I'm pretty proud of him. He thinks about it. And that's what's the most important part about it, is to have at least that thought going on, that you want to save money and that you understand that borrowing money can lead you down a road that is not beneficial. It can be bad for you. Other ways you can borrow money and it can be very beneficial for you, whether it's buying a house, like, we get to live in a house, and we wouldn't be able to live in a house if we didn't borrow money. We would have to rent one. So borrowing money to live in a house is a pretty good deal, but borrowing money to rent a house out is an even better deal, right? Because then we get paid for borrowing money, and that's pretty cool. Right? And that's what we're learning next.
Almost 100 people.
Almost 100 people live streaming. Yeah, we're gonna hang out here for probably another 15 minutes or so. Yep, 4 subscribers and shilling on the old man. He has the drive. Yeah, absolutely, he does. I'm looking forward to seeing what Freddy does. Like, we give him a lot of encouragement to do whatever it is that he's up to. Like,
one thing with looking up my channel, let me look it up real quick.
Yeah. We got him taking, well, we got 2 gymnastics classes going, that ninja class, which is really cool. These guys do a lot of parkour kind of stuff.
If you look up my channel, you'll most likely see this one, which is not mine. And I even try to find it when I look it up, and I can't.
You can't, so we're going to have to get a link for it and put it down. Random Things is probably a pretty common name for a YouTube channel, yeah?
It is a YouTube channel name.
Yeah, somebody else's. All right, you're almost up to 100 there, Freddy. How's the lumber market looking today? Well, it's Sunday, so things haven't changed much since Friday, and I did a lumber update video just a couple of days ago. Right now, we are going to see a tightening up of inventory. Now, prices are going to be kind of iffy as far as where they go, because of the demand is so, off on account of, like, the home builders being, not in the game. Mill curtailment's taking place. It's going to be a strange one going into the new year. But I think lumber prices are probably going to remain low for at least a little while until the inventory tightens up significantly. But we did learn from the lumber report that there is going to be mill issues and rail issues coming into the future. So once those really start to impact the markets, we'll know a little bit more then. What'd you find there, Fredders?
We got 108 people.
Yes, we did. Did you find a good question in there to talk about?
Mowing yards for cash money is good money for kids compared to working for a minimum wage.
Yeah. Can you imagine mowing Ernie's field? You want to mow that flower field?
Yeah. I would need the driving lawnmower, though.
Yeah, you definitely need the rider. All right. Hello from Connecticut. Found you from Talking Lumber. Thanks for sharing your thoughts. Yeah, you bet, man. Go ahead and... Yeah, Steve Bannon can't take over a podcast any better than Freddy. Let's see here. He is renting real estate, the only way to go on an economy like this. How's the lumber look? So proud of you both. Well, thank you very much, Crystal. Glad to see you here. That's Auntie Crystal right there.
Oh.
All right. Hello, moving to Astoria next week. Hope to bump into you. Keep on the good work. All right. Well, yeah, you'll probably see me. If you're moving to Astoria, you're going to be moving into probably an old house, and if you're moving into an old house, you're going to be hitting the lumber yard, and that's where you're going to find me. So Random things. I'll check it out. Here we go. When are you going to buy your first ounce of silver, Freddy? Well, silver.
I already
Yeah, go ahead.
I already have a piece of silver at home.
Yeah, and it was one of our viewers who sent it to us, huh?
Yes.
Yeah, it was. And it was very nice of him.
No, that's the same question.
Yeah.
Scroll up a bunch.
Yeah, what is Freddy's favorite NFT? I don't know if you're necessarily familiar with the NFT market quite yet. So we're still learning a lot about Bitcoin. Can you describe Bitcoin?
Bitcoin?
Yeah. Like, what's the easiest way to describe a Bitcoin?
Oh.
Right on. Not intimidated. Is that what that says? $2.99. Thank you for the super sticker. Very cool. So yeah, describe what a Bitcoin, like, how does Bitcoin work? Yeah, this one was hard, huh? Remember with the book and all that? Yeah, you do. You said it the other day. You told Grandpa, and it was awesome. You did a great job of it. You're just shy about it right now. Well, maybe we'll do that on another one. You got some crap on your face right there. So, anyway, we were talking about it being a book that everybody has, and if you put an entry into the book, right, everybody's book changes to that entry at the same time. He doesn't want to talk about it. All right, awesome driving the kid. That is the one thing that can't be taught. You either have it or you don't. He does. Good on you. Yeah. Money suggestions. Don't invest in Carvana. All right. Yeah. He was happy to find the little skeleton guy here. We lost it on the road, and I found it down at the end of the driveway, so I'm not sure how it ended up down there on the road, though.
It fell down when it was raining.
Oh, did it? It was up on the post. So what are you guys up to this weekend? Well, yesterday we went to the movies, and since Grandma came back into town, I guess Freddy's probably going to hang out with Grandma tonight, with Grandma Tutu, and Mom and I are going to go to bingo, what I call bingo.
I think G's gonna go to bingo.
Nope, Jay, I don't know. Probably, I don't know, he might.
He doesn't really.
Peter Schiff said buying Bitcoin is like buying air. Yeah, I know. Peter Schiff has been saying don't buy Bitcoin for a really long time. So I'm not trying to say that Peter Schiff is wrong. I'm just saying that I buy Bitcoin not because Peter Schiff says to or don't to, because I like the idea of Bitcoin. Like, I buy it because that's the decision that I've made, not because somebody else says you should or shouldn't do it. I mean, if you're making decisions off of what somebody else is telling you should and shouldn't do, then, you're letting somebody else run your life. I mean, I would definitely take his advice when it comes to economic information. I mean, Peter Schiff is like, that dude knows a lot about the economy, and I have to give him a lot of credit for it, for the knowledge that I have. At least even just my being interested in the economy was a lot because of what Peter Schiff was saying at the time. Just, I was so engaged in everything that he had to say. But there was a lot of things that, he was talking about that people shouldn't do that I was interested in doing, and cryptocurrencies is one of them. I mean, he just talks so negatively about it so much that I just got to a point where I'm like, I'm buying in. I'm buying crypto, and I don't really care if he likes it or doesn't. It's not really his business whether that I'm buying in. I mean, it would be his business if I was giving him money to buy stuff, but I'm not yet anyway. All right, I'm here. We can start now. Hey, it's all-nighter. It's great to see you, all-nighter. All right, waiting for lumber prices to lower to build my next barn. Should have bought lumber 3 years ago when I started pricing the project. Unreal how prices have gone way up every time I get a requote. Well, I would check the prices now again. I mean, if your prices haven't gone down over the last, say, 3 or 4 months, then I would question where it is that you're getting your quotes from. Get it from a couple of different lumber yards, because prices have dropped dramatically. We were selling plywood for, it peaked out at $80 a sheet. We have it now at $30 a sheet. 2x4s had peaked out at $13.50, and we're selling those at $4.29 a piece right now. And those are just 2x4/8 standing and better stuff. So lumber prices have come down dramatically. If you're talking the pole barn metal, like if you're going for metal and doors and windows and all that stuff is still quite expensive, and that's a huge part of a major project that you're looking at. So if that's included in your quotes, then yeah, you're probably not seeing a huge price drop. But if you're just looking for the framing part of things, just the lumber part, then yeah, prices have come down dramatically, and I wouldn't wait too much longer. I mean, prices could ease up a little bit more from here, but it's not going to be much. I mean, we're talking, this is it. This is the bottom. And I mean, who am I to predict the future? I'm not like saying that I can do that, but when it comes to calling out the lumber industry, I've been pretty good at that for the last couple of years. And if you're looking to do a project and the framing portion of it is what you're counting on next, then I would buy now. Like this is your moment. Again, you might be able to save a few dollars going into the future, but it isn't going to be dramatic. And once we get to the new year, we're going to find where inventory has tightened up a lot, and there are a lot of mill curtailments will have taken place. It's going to take a while to refill that inventory. You're going to see prices go back up as we head into the new year, or at least into the building season of next year. And who knows how long or how much then the recession is going to be. I mean, people keep saying that we're going to run into a recession by 2023. Who knows how long it's going to be? Is it going to be the fastest, quickest recession in history again, like the pandemic, or are we going to be able to find that this is going to be a long drawn out recession where it's going to take forever to, get things moving and reestablished and get things like the growth happening and new building taking place? Is it going to be real slow and sluggish? Who knows what it's going to be like when we get there? But anyway, 2023 is going to be a very interesting time when we get in there, especially when it comes to the lumber industry. All right, Jaws, hey man, it's great to see you. Hey man, I want to give you the thumbs up on what you got going on, man. I don't want to bring it up too much, but I'm really proud of you, brother, and I am really looking forward to the next 3 months, because I think what you have going on is very inspirational to hear about and to know that it's happening. So I'm very proud of you, man, and keep it up. All right. I think we have been in recession in a lot of ways over the last year. We have been, and really, I mean, considering how covered up, like papered over, the whole banking industry has been for the last 15 years. I don't know. I think it's just been this one long, continuous, drawn out depression, recession thing going on that keeps getting papered over. Like, if they were to allow the bad debts, the malinvestment to take place, let the interest rates rise like they have been, but in a way that is significant and prolonged to the point that it would wipe out like all the speculators out there who have, basically created a lot of malinvestment, zombie companies, stuff like that. If they were to wipe that stuff out, then we would find that the growth after that would be much better. It's not going to happen, though. It's just like there's no way. Oops, sorry, but I don't mean to. Inflation in the U.S. is probably 120%. I don't know about that. Yeah, doors and windows, floors, trusses, roof trusses, etc. Framing is a start, so maybe jump into it. Thanks for your time. Yeah, well, a lot of people ask, like, how do you get the best prices on stuff like that? I mean, really, if you are starting a project and then you're progressing through it, it's just like you don't really have much of a choice. But if you have like a piece of property and you have like a barn or a pole barn that you can store stuff, like a little warehouse, then you could probably do pretty well picking up all the pieces that you need to build a house over time. Like, you're going to find that you can pick up the framing lumber right now fairly cheap. And then at some point you'll find like where you can get doors and windows or maybe siding at a pretty good price. And if you can store all that stuff away and wait for the opportune time to maybe say have like a good deal on the contract to build it or something like that, that would probably be the best way to build a home as of right now, because things are just too like the uncertainty is just too much here to try and like, say that you can just traditionally build a house or speculate on a home build like you once could. You see that? I think Oneida was saying hi to you, brother. Yeah, you did see that. All right, hello from New Hampshire. Have a great stream. I gotta get unlazy and pack. Oh yeah, moving out here to Astoria, right on. Yeah, so we'll probably do what? How much longer should we hang out? You're looking like you're getting kind of bored anyway.
Well, Mom said we should go for at least an hour.
Mom says, huh? You guys need to put this much time in, because this is work for you. Hey Simon, I'm a guitarist and the prices on guitars keep going up in intervals of 15% for a total of 15 to 45 more for some instruments. Since you work in lumber, are these numbers realistic or not? Well, from what I understand, and I'm not sure if I'm right on this, but I mean, please forgive me. The material for building guitars, isn't that generally a foreign import? Like, I mean, I know that a lot of it came from domestic manufacturers at one time, and there was domestic manufacturers of guitars, but hasn't that like mostly become like a foreign imported reliant kind of thing? So that would make a lot of sense. From everything that it needs to come into the country has become more expensive due to the lockdown of the supply chain and shipping and all that. No, I could be wrong, but that might be the case. At least that's the impression that I was under. Um, it seemed like, wasn't there like some kind of trade dispute with Gibson in like India or something? I can't remember how that went down, but it's probably has something to do with it. Is that it has more to do with like a foreign import kind of thing. Yeah. Oops. I got a job that pays me 18% more than my last job, but that price increase won't last for long if inflation keeps going up. Yeah, and that's like, that seems to be like where like, I think a lot of people have missed it when it comes to what was going to happen when they saw the inflation started to kick in, because it's the input cost from wages that starts driving inflation higher. Um, and not to blame it on like wages, but that's really what it comes down to. It's just like the wage input cost eventually drives the inflation, or it keeps it sticking around anyhow, because once you have your wages higher, then it's very difficult to lower them. Now, the inflation that we saw, say, in like energy costs and food costs, those are things that you just can't avoid. And for the majority of the people out there, food and energy is the major portion of their paycheck that they end up spending on. And so if you see these two things rising, it doesn't really matter how much of an increase you get in pay. If these things go up in just as much, then you just lose it all to just going into food and fuel anyway. Now, what I said about fuel a while ago is they said that fuel input cost would be the main reason for driving inflation. And I said initially, yes, that would be the case, that higher oil prices would drive inflation as being a higher input cost as the energy factor of things. But because oil prices go up, that means that people will be less likely to start driving, and driving means that you're not going anywhere, or the lack of driving means that you're not going anywhere. If you're not going anywhere, you're not spending money. And so this really is where I said that the higher energy costs would eventually drive inflation down, because you would have less people out there demanding things, because they just simply wouldn't be out there driving around. And that's really what we're finding right now. I mean, you've found, since gas prices hit the $5 a gallon, you heard about everybody saying that they weren't driving or staying home, and there was less economic activity occurring because of it. And that will continue, I think. Yeah.
There's a comment that just says wood.
It says wood. Yeah. All right, let's see here. Have you seen the big premiums on Silver Eagles? Premiums are almost as much as spot price. I haven't. To be honest with you, pretty much since last year. when I ended up buying the house, putting the money down on the house, I really have not done a whole lot as far as buying into anything. I haven't bought silver. I haven't really bought any stocks. I haven't bought anything out there. Just really trying to build up the emergency fund again, the savings account, stuff like that. So I've been getting into a cash position for the last year, and so I haven't really been paying attention to silver premiums or anything like that. Even when I was buying silver regularly, I never really paid attention to the premiums anyway. I would just buy 1 or 2 or 3 ounces of silver a month and just stack it away, whatever it costs. I remember it costing a lot, going, geez, man, you don't get much for $100 nowadays, do you? So I that's the case for me, but I'm not like so into silver that I'm like, I know exactly what my average price is, so it doesn't really matter to me. I just keep stacking it up. Let's see here. You and Simon help us out, so thanks for sure. We need people like the two of you. Right on. What else we got here? My dad bought a lot of those back in the day. Oh, he must be talking. Oh, he is. He's talking to somebody else. Here in Turkey at Mount Olympus, we have 200% inflation, but things are still running smoothly, and Russia and China invest here. Interesting. Question. What will happen if the US dollar collapses? Will the rest of the fiat currency around the world collapse too? Yeah, and it's hard to speculate like what the collapse of the dollar will actually look like in what that would occur. Like a lot of people think of the dollar collapse being like this hyperinflation kind of thing happening. And I could see that very well taking place, but at first we're going to see a dollar strengthening unlike anybody could ever imagine before that happens. And it's hard to see that kind of path taking place. If you follow Brent Johnson, he really talks about the milkshake theory and how this would play out. It's a really good theory. I really enjoy it. And then Jeff Snyder also talks about the euro dollar and the demand for dollars outside of the United States. So the collapsing dollar would be like a collapsing demand for the dollar. And right now the demand for the dollar I think is going to increase. And so like I don't see a collapse for demand. Once we see a collapse for the demand for the dollar, like people literally do not want it anymore. And I know a lot of people will be shaking their heads going, have you seen China? Have you seen Saudi Arabia? Have you seen Russia? Have you seen these places that are getting rid of the dollar and not using it anymore? I sure have. And it is something to pay attention to, and it is going to be concerning if this continues to advance going into the future. But it's a long ways out there because these countries have yet to come even remotely close to doing what the US dollar has done or is doing and going to continue to do tomorrow and the next day and the day after that. So if it comes to dollar strengthening, that's going to occur going into the future for a time. Like, I don't know how long or into what point. At some point there, though, it does occur a failure where the dollar doesn't get used or is no longer the majority, and other countries around the world are then abandoning it. Gosh, I had the hardest word with saying abandon.
Abandon.
Thank you, Fred. And get rid of the dollar completely. But that's not what's happening right now. That's completely not what's happening. And at some point when we do see that occurring, that's when we'll be concerned to do something about it. But at this point, I'm getting into dollars. I am not even concerned about getting into dollars and worried about inflation. I'm not. I'm looking for buying opportunities. Yeah, what's up, kid?
How long should we go? Should we hit 40 minutes?
Well, right now we're at 38 minutes. How about, since Mom wanted us to do an hour, how about we give it another 20 minutes if we can? If we get good questions. If we stop getting questions, we'll go home.
I saw a good question.
Let me see. I saw All-Nighters asking some stuff there. What does he have to say? Great ear. What does he say right here? Great ear candy as I lay this flooring. Hey, right on, All-Nighter. What else we got here? Confidence in the dollar needs to evaporate before the dollar demand dwindles. Yeah, and it's going to happen at some point. I mean, so it is definitely, something to be concerned about and to be aware of. But I'm not like a lot of people were like, get out of the dollar and get into precious metals, and that's where the position you need to be. And if you're doing anything else, you're crazy. And I was calling out at that time, get into the dollar. I was just like, I think there's a buying opportunity coming into the future, and people thought I was nuts because it just so many people were saying it at the same time, inflation, 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 inflation. And I was just like, I kept going back and I was just like, man, everybody is like almost in this chant, doing it. And then silver and gold really didn't go anywhere, right? They didn't protect anybody from inflation. They just basically stalled out. And I think that tells more about it being an insurance policy than anything else. I mean, talk about something that has very little downside risk to it, right? I mean, there's really nothing else out there that I would rather be in right now than the dollar or precious metals. That's it. That's the only two things. Everything else I think is going to go down dramatically. I mean, everything. Yeah. All right, great call on the dollar. I fell for the precious metals call. Well, it's not falling for it, right? It's not falling for it because it's not a bad thing to have. Like it's falling for it if you dumped every last dime and took out loans to buy it. Then it is like, then it is something that you should be concerned about what you have done. But if you have put like 5% of your portfolio, 5, 10, even 20% of your portfolio into precious metals, that's a great insurance policy. There's nothing wrong with that. And if you look at it as an insurance policy, then there is no loss. Like up, down, sideways doesn't really matter because that's not what you have purchased it for. But if you had this hope and dream that it was going to go up and that you were going to be making millions of dollars off of it or something like that, then yeah, that is a bummer for you because I I had that feeling at one time, and I know what it feels like to not have that anymore because of like what happened. So I just look at silver and gold as the insurance policy and, the ability to sleep at night, something that's out of that third party investment or third party hands. Love the discussion with Freddy on investments versus speculation. Silver, gold, and Bitcoin gave no hedge at all. That's right. I mean, we're going to learn about making some money next year, this summer, whether we do flowers or something, right? We're going to work with the flower guy next door and see if we can't become a farmer or something. Hey, right on, Jaws. Thank you. Freddy, my son Liam wants to know if there are any fun arcades to play in Astoria.
Yes. One you need an app for, but the other, okay, I forgot the name of it, but it's an arcade and one of the machines doesn't cost anything. Doesn't cost any coins or anything.
Do they still call it Gizmos?
Gizmos, yeah.
Gizmos, yeah. It's pretty cool. They have pinball and air hockey, and they have hot dogs and all kinds of stuff down there to hang out for the kids, and it's right in the corner of, what street is that on?
I forgot. I don't know.
I did too. 14th? Maybe? I can't remember. And where else? Funland out in Seaside. That's a lot of fun. They got a lot of arcade games out there.
Yeah, at Funland.
I like pinball myself. What's your favorite arcade game? Good.
Probably Halo.
Halo? Shooting games. All right. When the Fed eventually pivots, do you think this is the final journey home to collapse, hyperinflation, currency collapse? No. Like, there's a couple of scenarios that are going to play out. Like, you have to think. If we end up moving to a central bank digital currency, then things are going to look much different. Like we don't even know. We don't even know what that kind of environment's going to be like. We can only speculate on the ideas of what can occur from something like that. The idea of taking interest rates into negative territory is something that economists never even thought that was even possible, but yet here we've had that occur in our economy. So it's really hard to try and understand if there will be a dollar collapse. Like, will there actually be a true dollar collapse in the sense that the dollar disappears altogether? I honestly think that if we get to a point where that starts to happen, then there's going to be food issues taking place. And that's going to be the major problem because most food that's distributed around the world is done with dollars. And if dollars become very difficult to acquire and people are starting to starve around the world, then that's going to put the powers that be in a very unique position to allow them to do just about anything they want. Like, here's your card. It's full of central bank digital currencies. Go ahead and go eat, right? And that will get people to say, yes, I will totally accept it. If that was to occur, something like that during a dollar collapse, and they could actually save the dollar, like banking system, and continue on with the central bank digital currency and go into negative interest rates, and who knows how far it could go. So would the dollar collapse? Would that be considered the collapse if we switch into a central bank digital currency from what we are understanding of fiat currency today? Then that might be what would be the collapse. Now, a collapse of the dollar, like if we didn't go into a central bank digital currency, what you would end up seeing is that all around the world, people would be trying to get out of their debts. They'd be trying to get as many dollars as they possibly could get. And so the drive for dollars would start increasing the dollar strength ever higher, right? So the diminishing amount of dollars as the Fed is tightening things up, and the demand for dollars to pay off debt starts to shrinking the pool of dollars that are out there. Because you also have to think all these contracts that are due in dollars are being used as dollars. And once those contracts expire, then they're not being used as dollars out there, and the demand for dollars ever increases more, right? Because now these things aren't being used as dollars. So this is really where the power of the dollar starts to strengthen, is because people are trying to get out of the dollar and diminishing all these contracts that are out there. Eventually it reaches a peak, right, where there's no more demand for these dollars, and then all these dollars are no longer wanted outside of the country because they're done with the debts, they're done with the everything that you're using the dollar for, and they don't want it anymore, and they're going to start sending it back to the United States. And once they start sending it back to the United States and those chickens come home to roost, that's the hyperinflation scenario that causes the dollar to collapse. Did you get all that? All right. About to be a dad soon. Really liked your live stream about the parenthood and marriage a couple of weeks back. All right, man. Well, I appreciate that. It's kind of funny. I've been watching a few YouTubers out there because I read an article about the rise of lonely men, and I was thinking, okay, well, what's the economic impact from some of the consequences from the way society is now trying to conduct themselves, like the rise of the single person, the lack of family formation, the fact that, what was it? It was some number that it just blew me away. 1 out of every 3 men under the age of 30 or 30 and younger have not had sex in the last year or are virgins. This type of thing, like, I was completely clueless about this stuff, right? Because I've been married since I was 18. Like, what do I know about this stuff, right? And so when I started doing some of the research into these things, it just blew me away, like like how people conduct themselves now, like how this younger generation, this hookup culture, this whole thing, like I was not aware of like what was going on out there. And it really shocks me to think, like, how is it that there's supposed to be like any kind of like real long lasting family unity when everybody is getting divorced, and it's just like this, I mean, I shouldn't say everybody, but this lack of like, long term um relationships. It was just like it was shocking to me because, like, like I said, what do I know? I mean, it's not like my wife and I had perfect issues our entire life. Like we've had some major stuff happen, but we get through those things. And I think a lot of people probably would have ended up quitting on each other long ago. Like my wife and I would have, like some of the stuff that we went through, people wouldn't have done it like this. All I guess I'm getting at, and because we did, we're rewarded for that, right? I mean, we get the support of each other, and we understand each other, and we get to live a life that I think a lot of people probably look at as probably pretty decent. I don't know, like, I mean, it seems all right to me. But anyway, finding that like this whole culture is the way it's going to have an economic impact. Without the family formations, then what you have is you have a lack of like growth that's taken place there, right? Without the family formation, you have a lack of population growth, and the people are the energy, and the energy is what really makes the economy happen. So really you have to have population growth in order to have like a vibrant growing economy. Now with technology coming into things, it might be a little different to, in the sense of things. I mean, this is really taking like Cantillon's essay into, his theories into account. But technology might change that a little bit, but for the most part, without population growth, you don't have an economic growth, and that's what's occurring right now. Is this crazy time? Like, I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't get what's going on out there. Like, the traditional life is gone, right? I mean, it's just like not there anymore. Family is the biggest indicator of the health of a nation. Yeah. All right. Looks like a good choice from where I sit. Let's see. I am so glad I didn't get married after being in a relationship for 9 years. Happy Earth Day to that, and you can lose 50% of your stuff and 80% of marriages get divorced. Is it 80% of marriages getting divorced? What I heard was 80% of divorces are by the woman's choice. Like the woman is the one who initiated that divorce. And that's something that I thought was pretty interesting. I was just like, wow, what are these women looking for if they're asking for all these divorces from all these men? And that's what it really came down to. It was just like, holy crap, like all these women are chasing after a dream, right? Something that doesn't really exist out there. Because if 80% of them, or 80% of the divorced people out there, it was what am I trying to say? 80% of the divorces are initiated by the woman, is because she's not finding what she needed inside of this relationship. She was hoping for something different. Well, I think what she is looking for is something that doesn't exist, right? Because 80% of them are doing it, right? I mean, it's just like they all like married the wrong dude. I mean, that doesn't happen, right? So it's not necessarily that. It's just that I think that there's this fed into belief dream that there's like this ultra awesome dude out there that's going to be like some superhero of a guy, and they're anticipating that they're going to get this alpha guy. Well, for the most part, society doesn't produce alpha guys. They produce these demasculated wussy of people who don't care about like being strong independent individuals who don't give an F about things that are going on outside of their own interest, right? That happens to be what is like the provider out there, and that's the one who is going to be the one who can make things happen. Unfortunately, it doesn't exist on a grand scale. I mean, like a lot of those type of guys out there. And so what ends up happening is that these women are chasing after this one particular type of dude who doesn't really exist out there, and that one dude who understands that is probably nailing all kinds of, I'm sorry, but is probably getting it right with all kinds of these women out there. And it's like really odd to think like this is way society is. Maybe I'm just naive to the whole thing, just like I said, because I've just been married my whole life. I don't know, what do I know? But this is what I'm finding out there when I'm doing this research, and why the lack of family formation is taking place. It's just like blowing me away. I don't know, am I getting it right? Let's see here. That dude over there, O2. Hey, Simon, please take your son out for ice cream. As much as I enjoy the videos and opinions, I respect the fact that you are a great dad more. Mike. Well, thank you, Mike. And yeah, we'll take Freddy out to go to Freet and Scoop or something, right? Doesn't that sound good? All right. Well, I don't know if we'll do that today, but maybe we'll do that tomorrow or something, okay?
Okay.
All right. Do women look at men as paycheck? I don't know, man. Like, I'm not gonna try and. I can just tell you right now what the feelings that when I brought up some of the things that I was finding and researching, and I said, okay, I took my wife and I said, okay, listen to some of these things that I'm finding. What do you think of this? And she was just like shaking her head, like, oh my gosh, like it. I wish I could get into some of it, but I really don't want to get into the deep part of it with Freddy here, because I think it's a little too grown up for a conversation for him, but you get it. All right. Your son's going to be one smart cookie. Yes, he is. He's already a smart cookie. Hey, man. How much time we got? We're going to give it another 6 minutes, okay, bud, and then we'll bail out.
Sure.
All right, come for economics, not weird Magato stuff. Yeah, I get it. I mean, I'm not trying to say that that's what's happening here. I'm just trying to tell you, like, I'm not trying to say that men should go their own way or figure all that stuff out. I'm not trying to put out those theories or anything. Like, I don't know any of that stuff, right? I mean, like I said, my wife and I have been together since we were 18. We are completely naive to all this stuff that's going on out there. I mean, I think about the way some people are treating each other out there and what their ideas of what they expect from each other. I don't know. I don't know what it is that's going on. I just know that, like, I don't know, like the two of us, like if my wife and I, if we were to divorce and try to go out there and mingle into society again, the way I'm seeing things going on out there, I don't know if I would be into it. It's like, it seems nuts to me. It's, so it's a good thing that we like each other, you know? You legit remind me of my old man, Uneducated Economist. It's wild, great advice, and down to earth. You are a relic of time past in a good way. Thanks for being positive, bro. Yeah, you bet. All right, let's source code. I resemble that, Mark. Good old all-nighter. Let's see here. Okay, question. You say banks create currency. How the bank can go under if they can create money? Who controls how many dollars exist in the whole world? Well, the Federal Reserve is the one who's in control of the level of liabilities that they have out there. When it comes to banks creating money, that's an interesting um, that's an interesting thing to talk about and to learn about. Um, and I have to say, Mike Maloney has probably got the best video series on that. And if you go and check out Mike Maloney's stuff and you watch some of the video series on, oh, what did he call it? God, what is the name of the series? What is the name of the series? You guys remember? Just put it down here in the comments. I can't remember what it was. But he has the best series as far as like money creation, how it goes into the system, how it flows around. And it's really good because it's animated. It's really well, put together. And I really appreciate that one. So if you're really looking to see like how the creation of money and the flow of money through the state and through the system, I would watch those Mike Maloney series and that'll give you a really good understanding of what's happened. What is it? Great haircut. Yeah, thank you. I wasn't able to go down to my normal barber who I really like to go to, which is Cut and Shave in Astoria. Miss Lindsay had been cutting my hair down there the last few times. She did a fabulous job of it. But since I needed to get a haircut really bad and there was nobody else in town that I could go to, the only place that was open was Perfect Look. And Olivia down there did an absolute fabulous job. She was very nice, very quick, and I think it turned out very well. Feels very comfortable, and I'm very happy with it. So thank you very much, Olivia, for the wonderful job on the haircut. Thanks, Chad. I will watch this tonight. All right. Yeah, you bet. It's a good one. What is that money market? Hidden Secrets of Money. That's it. Gosh, you'd think I would know that. I've only seen it like 100 times. All right. God bless you, brother. Great dad. Well, thank you very much. All right, guys. I'm just going to give it a couple of more minutes here, and then we're going to head on home. Is there any other questions? Anything for Freddy, since he's kind of more occupied with his video games now? Just watched the Fed Reserve documentary on YouTube. Yeah, I think probably like, some of the biggest, like people ask me all the time, like what kind of books and stuff that I've read. And, I just don't read books very, as far as that goes, but I have studied a lot of stuff out there. But, really like The Creature from Jekyll Island, if you haven't read that book, that's probably one of the best books that you could ever read to getting an idea of what's going on with the Federal Reserve and why it is that you need to follow the banking industries more so than anything else out there. It really shows the establishment of the Federal Reserve, how it came into play, how nefarious they really are. It's a great book, and I encourage everybody to read that particular one. And like I said, Cantion's essay, it's a great piece because he talks about like money on the simplest form, of how it flows through the state and what happens when new money comes in and what happens when it stops, and what kind of issues that come from that. I mean, if you read that essay, you can really see that a lot of the stuff that he's talking about even 200 years ago really plays out today. So, all right. Hey, Freddy, what game are you playing?
Hold.io.
What is it?
Hold.io.
Here, tell the camera.
Hold.io.
Hold.io. I don't know these games. Alrighty, everybody, thank you so much for hanging out with Freddy and I, and thank you so much for the super chats. We'll definitely take them out for some ice cream. We'll go to Freet and Scoop and get some of their good ice cream that they have over there. Freet and Scoop has like these gourmet ice creams. They have one of them that's made with Earl Grey tea, and it's really kind of strange looking, but man, does it taste good. It's good stuff, and they also serve up some French fries with it. So Freet and Scoop, pretty good place to go to. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. I think Freddy got bored with us. All right. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out. Uneducated Economist.
You let me know.
You let me know.